Hey, what's going on, everybody? Robert Marzullo here, and got another video for you. And this one is going to be how to draw larger people. If you want to call that obesity, obese, big boned, whatever term best suits it for you. But what I want to do is I want to show you first off how to draw maybe more of a superhero figure, which I've shown in the past. But what I want to show is the difference from those two and how you can use one to kind of get to the other. So first, what I'm going to do is designate the head height. So typical superhero proportions are roughly 8 heads tall. A lot of times now it seems like I want to say that people are pushing the envelope a little bit further and going about 8.5 heads tall. So what we'll do is first, say there's the head, a little bit round, but that'll get us going. And I use the grid here to say, okay, there's 2 blocks, right? So this would be second head, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and let's do one more block to do the 8.5. So there's that. And you see that's a lot of space in between the initial head shape, but I'll show you how quickly that gets eaten up with the way that we lay out the characters. So I usually do kind of a Superman emblem like that, V shape for the chest, the connector piece for the waist, just as a quick guide to throw stuff in place. Another little shape like that for the pelvic area. And then you see we're already down to about here, which I may have went a little bit too low. A lot of times with superhero drawing, you want to keep that top midsection really, really short and stout, kind of wide. Shoulders go here, real V'd out. So what happens is, I might even go over that 8.5 because I really like the legs to look, long and superhero-esque. So you see I'm going to push this even further, to get a very, um, you know, the long legs just look a little bit more, I don't know, like I said, superhero-esque, very athletic, and if they're a little short and stubby legs, they just don't look like they got a lot of power to them. So kind of round out the leg here. Always make sure, so I kind of made a mistake there. This muscle is always lower. It's kind of hard to remember that while you're placing it in, but I definitely make sure I do that by the final stage. Another thing to keep in mind, this front muscle here kind of goes up and connects almost to the side of the hip like that, or it tends to look cooler. Makes it look like the legs are more bowed out. So again, make sure this muscle's lower, this one's up higher. Also helps that bowing effect. Uh, get these. This one comes out and around like that. And you got the foot here. Always make sure the feet are pointing a little bit different directions, outward, just a little bit. One can even be to the side. You can look down at your own feet when you're doing a stance. You can turn your legs pretty far, in rotation from each other, away from each other. So you gotta remember that when you're drawing it. So I'm not getting into too much detail here. I just want this to be quick and easy to understand. But like I said, I thought it would be a good idea to do a quick superhero pose to show the difference from the two statures and body makeups, and how I would even structure them real quick. So again, kind of bowing those arms out like that, a little bit of attitude in the arms there. Come down to here. And just real fast. I'm not worrying too much about detail. This is more just getting my proportions and directions going, and then later on I would come back and fine tune it and add some cool details and some shading and stuff like that. I'm just kind of positioning where I want all the muscles to go in relationship to each other. And that's why it's called a rough sketch. Just keep it real rough. And see, and even here I'm going to bring that head up even a little bit higher. So we're probably ended up to about 9 heads here. And you see, based on the proportions that I used, that he's still not very over elongated and really crazy out of proportion. I mean, I'm not going to name names here as far as certain comic book artists, but I mean, I would feel comfortable to say that some of those are probably pushing their characters to 10 heads tall. You just have to get out the ruler and look at some of your books and see what they do there. And with comic books, it's all about style, anyways. So you know, you want to definitely study realism and proportions and anatomy and all that, but then you got to remember that you're going to take those and you're going to do your own thing with them. Um, so realism, you know, only starts off in the beginning, and then you stretch that concept into whatever you're trying to create. Okay, so there's our superhero stature, you know, our base figure, whatever. So now if we bring that over and we start to do the character of, you know, slightly overweight proportions or whatever, and I'm still going to make them look a little bit, you know, comic book, because that's typically what I focus on. You know, I could draw a realistic overweight person and it could look totally different, but I'm trying to show you more in relation to how you would do it in comics and things like that, so animation, whatever. So first off, I'm going to use my same structure lines to begin, but now I'm going to use a lot more rounded shapes to form this figure. So here's a rounded shape for the upper torso. I'm going to do another rounded shape for the belly section there, big old Santa Claus belly. And I'm going to have the shoulders look a little bit more sagged and drooped, you know, because with all this weight, you got to picture that it's pulling down on this character a lot more. So the physique isn't going to be, you know, as strong as this one over here. Posture, everything's going to change. So, um, you know, you got the kind of a Dunlap thing going on there, Dunlapped over the belt, and you know, the legs, you know, same things. I'll try to give more of the superhero stance still, you know, outward, bold legs, but uh, they're probably going to appear to be a little bit shorter, you know. Not that his bone structure is any more short of a physique person, but all that mass around that is going to make it appear that those limbs are a lot shorter and stubbier, you know. So um, just kind of keep that in mind as you're structuring the stuff around the initial mannequin, you know, design there. Um, Arms probably more hidden behind the midsection a little bit, I would imagine. Because if not, you'd have to really bow them out to make, you know, the gaps here. So probably bigger hands. Again, just because there'd be more mass around, you know, even the hands and the knuckles and, you know, everything, you know. Um, like that. And I don't know if you'd do a whole lot different with the feet, other than you'd want to show, you know, again, some bulky feet. But then I was thinking in terms of the gravity and the mass, if the feet would look more flat. I don't know. I'd have to look at reference for that. I don't think so. I think just again bulking them up a bit. They got to look like they can hold all this weight. Um, so you got to keep that in mind. You know, see, I'm not defining the triceps as much. I mean, I'm definitely putting them in there. You know, and I have seen some pretty big guys that are still, you know, really defined. You know, especially in the chest, arms, and shoulders. Like, or maybe not even the chest so much, but sometimes. But definitely the arms and shoulders. You know, you can see guys that are larger that still manage to keep that strength in that part of their arms. Um, or I shouldn't say strength, because usually big people are actually really strong. It's more defined. You know, sometimes they keep certain areas that are defined. Especially in comic drawing, it kind of looks cool if you got this big guy and he still has these big brooding arms, and maybe he's a little bit bigger in the midsection. You know, who cares? We all like to eat, but you know, he still keeps that form and looks, you know, what's the word? Destructive, strong. Uh, that word escaped me. The word I'm looking for. Ominous. Yeah, something like that. And then, you know, if you want to be funny about it, you do the little T-shirt going up right there, a little belly button, get a little chuckle out of that. But then everything else is just, you know, filling in the details. You know, you take this to a blue line and then kind of pencil out, you know, how the character's going to look. Now the other differences in the face, I want to get a little bit into that, is that you're going to see slight differences in the way that the skin comes down. You know, if it's typical superhero guy, you're going to get this very squared off jaw like this, you know, something like that. Well, with this character, you know, and you can do it both ways, you know, based on style. But if you're trying to be a little bit more correct with it, you want that jaw to kind of, you know, seep down into another line that rolls down into the neck and the shoulders and all that. So let me make it easier to see. I'll go ahead and erase this. Show you what I'm talking about. You know, where it comes down into here. And you know, you don't have to really do a roll like this. That would probably be if you're trying to do like a blob type character. You know, somebody that's got a lot of weight, or you know, maybe an animated weight where it's real rolled like that. But what you can do is you just kind of break up the lines where you're drawing the chin, and instead of giving it the very defined line, you can do something like that. So you get some of this line here, the chin here, and then from there you just figure out, okay, do I want him to be, you know, really obese? Do I want to add a couple rolls, or do I just want the little hint or shading down here to make it look like there's, you know, a little bit extra skin? And then from there, it's the way that you do the eyes and the cheeks, and it's just going to look more like that the eyes sit on top of the cheeks, kind of, that they're, you know, that you got the bigger, you know, kind of Santa Claus cheeks popped out there. And you just kind of work it that way, you know, and you can apply that to every part. Like it can be, you know, the rounded masked out cheeks here, a little bit of defined lines, not much right there. You could even make it look like the lips are smaller to the size of the head, all the features are smaller to the size of the head. That would in turn make the character look more bulky in that regard. You know, all those things. You give him a little tiny nose, that's going to make his head look larger and bulkier, you know. So a lot of it is just proportions in relation to each other. And then just making sure you don't over define the character, because if I sit here and start doing all this, over define them, after a while there's going to quit looking bulky, you know, unless he's I guess an older obese person that may have more wrinkles. But you want to kind of keep the wrinkles down to a minimal, unless you are trying to show age, I guess. So yeah, there's that. You know, hair, that's going to be the same as it would be. Just pencil in some hair. You know, he starts coming together. So that's really all there is to it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that you can mess around with as far as proportions and shapes and working that. But that's just a quick video to show you how you might construct somebody with mass and weight and difference to the typical superhero physique like we have on the left. So just wanted to show you that real quick. So hopefully that helped you, and if you got any questions on how I did this video or what I could have did to make it better for you, let me know. Put the questions in the comments. Please like, please subscribe, please share, all that jazz. And I'll keep bringing these videos to you. I do one a week right now, so every week you can check back on the channel and find more instructional videos on how to draw, and sometimes they're mixed in with some stuff of me just drawing my character Blackstone and the comic book Blackstone. So check it out, and be sure to let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Keep drawing. Bye bye.